Yo, what's going on, man? Tonight is January the 29th. It's only 5 games in the NBA for tomorrow. Wanted to get ahead of the lines as much as we possibly can, try to find some value for us. Last night, it was pretty profitable, man. So I'm going to try to start doing some late night streams. Hopefully, if you want to ride with some of the plays, we can get some cash together. Hopefully, we continue to get some CLV as well. So a bit of shorter video today. I won't jump into all 5 of the games on the board. Really could kind of care less about Utah and Minnesota unless we see something interesting happen towards the end of the Minnesota game for tonight. But currently that game is still going on. It's about 10:45 on the East Coast as I'm recording this video. So tonight's plays were winners, man. Brooklyn probably left some money on the table with Brooklyn. I said in the video, if you watched it last night, that I like Brooklyn full game, and they were able to go in to Charlotte and get a win. I said that even tanking teams sometimes want to win games, and the first quarter money line was an easy winner. The full game under 208.5 was an easy winner. Charlotte team total, they're going to look really bad at basketball for a while. They don't play again tomorrow because I was already looking to see if I could fade them again, but Brooklyn and Charlotte can't score the basketball. So that was an easy winner under the 208. Washington, man. Washington, easy winner. Let's just say Washington team total under 112.5 was an easy winner. Chicago scored 100 points against the Boston Celtics in a nice bounce back spot for Boston. So 4-0 day. Let's jump into it for tomorrow, man. We're here to try to continue the grind. So first up, we got my Los Angeles Lakers. They will be in DC. And if it wasn't such a terrible game, I actually might try to slide to this game. But we talk about the injury report here. Anthony Davis is out already after going down in that game in Philly the other day. LeBron James is also listed as questionable. Interested to see if Bron plays because there is a more meaningful game coming up. Granted, it's in a couple days, but it's a more meaningful game coming up in the Garden. So we'll see what happens there. Gabe Vincent is upgraded to questionable after not playing against Philly. Rui Hachimura is listed as probable. And then the Wizards, of course, can submit their injury report late. But recently, it's been no Brogdon. There's been no Marvin Bagley. Could they rest somebody on the second leg of a back-to-back? Potentially. So let's jump into the matchup. We got a Laker team that has owned the Washington Wizards as of late. They've won 5 straight. They covered earlier. This game was just last week when they beat them in L.A. They beat them 111-88. Smoked the Wizards in that spot. Anthony Davis was a part of that game. LeBron James was a part of that game. No idea if either one of them are going to play in this one. Maybe Bron plays. The Lakers were laying 13.5 points in that game. And this one opened at 6. Now it's up to 6.5, already moving. The total already dropping. Open 226.5. It's down to 224.5. And that's where I kind of want to go with this one. So we look at the situational spot for the Lakers here. This is the 4th of a 6-game road trip. They got a couple more games on the schedule after this one before they get back to LA. Also going to be a 3rd game in 4 nights after just beating Charlotte, then losing to Philly on the second leg of a back-to-back. And, of course, they lost that game. Like I said, by 14 points is a 4.5-point favorite. So probably got a pretty bad taste in their mouth. They were down a few pieces and AD after the first quarter. The Wizards, second leg of a back-to-back as well. Also 3rd game in 4 nights. And they're coming back from the West Coast. They did play at home last night or tonight, I guess I should say, against the red hot Toronto Raptors and got absolutely steamrolled. I mean, Toronto jumped on them early. Now, we know the Lakers can't put together a full game consistently, especially without Anthony Davis. But I do think that they can come in here and lock up this Washington Wizards offense. So a lot of what I'm going to bet in this game is just a carbon copy, just rinse and repeat, right? What have we seen from the Washington Wizards as of late? They can't score the basketball. Now, will the Lakers be shorthanded defensively without AD? Yeah, absolutely. Will that impact their defense? Absolutely it will. But you got some key defenders in this game that I think should still be able to stop the Washington Wizards' worst offense from scoring the basketball. I said this in last night's video. The Wizards only want to shoot a bunch of threes. They profile just like the Brooklyn Nets, just like the Golden State Warriors without the backdoor cuts. All they want to do is shoot a bunch of threes. They do it very inefficiently. And the Lakers have actually been doing a pretty good job of running teams off the three-point line. Their three-point defense is not as bad as it was to start the season. So without AD, they're probably going to key in on defense a little bit more. It's not like the Wizards are going to go down low and, try to get a whole bunch of offensive rebounds or try to score in the paint anyway. So I do think the Lakers can slow down this version of the Washington Wizards. You'll have Gabe Vincent back. You'll have Jared Vanderbilt back. You still got bigs like Jackson Hayes who can go down there and rebound the basketball. Wizards team total under is what we go right back to the well with. You can get a 109.5 if you have access to some of the sports books that put out early lines on team totals. Or you can wait, probably get like a 108.5 tomorrow morning. But I do think the Wizards struggle to get to 100 points again, especially with it being a fatigue spot for them as well. Lakers also bottom 10 in the league in pace last few games. So the Lakers dictate pace. They should be able to keep this game, pretty slow pace as well. So that's the play, in my opinion. Lakers should be able to hold this team down. I like the full game under as well. I do think the Lakers, I know the Wizards defense is trash, but the Lakers offense does not look great either. And without Anthony Davis, we know this is a team that also struggles from the three-point line. So full game under is what I bet. I do like the Wizards team total under as well. I got this at 225.5. It's already going down to 224.5. So fatigue spot for both teams, potentially no Bron, slow-paced Laker team, Wizards team that can't shoot the ball. All of it, in my mind, just kind of adds up to an under. Next game. Slide on over to the Atlanta and the Cleveland game. So this is one of the nationally televised games tomorrow. TNT game. We got the Atlanta Hawks. They will be in Cleveland tomorrow, taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. That I'm not sure how shorthanded they're going to be, man. Cleveland has actually looked really good in their last two games. They, had suffered that 3-game losing streak after losing back-to-back games to the Houston Rockets, and then there was another loss in there as well. I forgot who else they lost to, but they lost a season high 3 games in a row. They bounced back since then. They beat the Detroit Pistons, steamrolled the Detroit Pistons, only gave up, I think, like 91 points in that game. And then they went to Miami shorthanded. No Darius Garland, no Isaac Okoro, no Karis LeVert. Merrill ended up being listed out as well. There's no Dean Wade, and they still mollywopped the Miami Heat. That was a bad spot for Miami off the double overtime game. I probably should have pulled the trigger with Cleveland, but I was a little gunshot, a little hesitant there. In this game, what I'm liking is actually the team total under for the Atlanta Hawks, or full game under as well. I think the full game goes under. I think when I look at the Cleveland team total, it's about 124.5. I don't think they need to score 125 points against the Atlanta Hawks. So when we look at the Atlanta Hawks, first and foremost, this it feels to me like this game, I think the total is going to drop first and foremost, which is why I'm doing this early. It opened 239.5. It's already down to 238.5. I think it's probably going to close more so around 235, 234.5. Because you got a Cleveland team. Now, granted, their offense is really, really good. We know that. But the Atlanta side of things, this total is being priced as almost as if Atlanta has a full healthy roster, and they absolutely don't. It was announced earlier today that Jalen Johnson tore his labrum. He's done for the season. Bogdanovich is out. That's a 3-point sniper for the Atlanta Hawks. And now Clint Capella is also out. Trae Young is listed as probable, and you probably will get Darius Garland back tomorrow for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but it's potential they could rest somebody. Terrible situational spot, in my opinion, for both of these teams. And you got triple revenge for the Cleveland Cavaliers in this spot as well. They've won. The Atlanta Hawks have actually beaten this team 3 straight times. They covered 3 straight spreads. That goes all the way back to last season, including 2 this year when they played back-to-back games. And you go in, and I kind of looked into those box scores. Both games, Jalen Johnson will not be active tomorrow, but in both games, Jalen Johnson, 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists in the first meeting. Then he had a 20.9 rebounds, 7 assists again in the second meeting. That's a lot that you're going to be missing for Atlanta. I just have a hard time trying to figure out how they're going to be able to score the basketball. On top of the situational, well, on top of, it being the revenge spot, on top of it being, Atlanta being extremely shorthanded with a bunch of scores potentially being out in this spot. We don't know if Ricochet is going to play either. This is also 6 game and 9 nights for Atlanta. Remember, they just played at home against Houston on the second leg of a back-to-back. That was a makeup game because of the snowstorm that happened a couple weeks ago. So terrible spot here for Atlanta, 6 game and 9 nights. They're only 3-7 straight up in the last 10 games, 6 straight losses, and back-to-back covers against the Houston Rockets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Both of those were low-scoring games. Back-to-back unders as well. If you look deeply at the Atlanta Hawks recently, they've really struggled to score the basketball. It's been back-to-back games. Well, actually not back-to-back, back-to-back-to-back games. So 3 straight games that they have actually failed to reach 100 points. If you look at them without Clint Capella, who's already listed as out, without Jalen Johnson, to me, it makes sense that they shouldn't be able to dominate the boards and get a lot less second chance opportunities in this game. When I looked into it, Atlanta had actually won the rebounding battle against the Cleveland Cavaliers in both of the games earlier this season. The first game, they won by 13. They were plus 13 on the boards. The second game, they were plus 7. So you take away those second chance opportunities. I know Atlanta's still playing with pace, but Cleveland has actually slowed down their pace. And for Cleveland, also a major fatigue spot. 5th game in 7 nights, 7th game in 11 nights for them, 6th game in 9 nights with no rest. That's typically a phase spot. One of the reasons I don't want to necessarily lay the points because it's such a big number, but it's still probably just be cash for me or nothing. Even though Atlanta has been fighting hard against really good teams. Minnesota cover in Minnesota, come back home, no rest, cover against the Houston Rockets as well. But looking deeply into the Atlanta Hawks, worst offensive rated team last 5 games, 96.7. Let me say that again. The Atlanta Hawks are the worst rated offensive team last 5 games, 96.7 offensive rating. That's worse than the Washington Wizards. And I didn't think it could get worse than the Washington Wizards. Somehow they are the number 1 rated defensive team over the last 5 games. Atlanta has absolutely had no choice but to play defense to kind of hang around in some of these games and get some covers. Offensively, without Jalen Johnson on the floor, 8 fewer points scored per 100 possessions. And I mentioned Cleveland as far as their pace. They're 20th in pace over the last 5 games, which is a lot slower than they were playing, top 5 pace at the beginning of the season. So when you look into the trend, I said Cleveland was playing 5th game in 7 nights. Teams playing 5th game in 7 nights this season, strong under trend, 66%, right? To the under. 18, 9, and 2. So of the 29 different teams that's been playing a 5th game in 7 night spot, 66% of the games have stayed under. Going all the way back to the 2018 season, about 55% of those games are actually staying under the total. Like I said this at the beginning of the cap, but to me, it just feels like the books still have Atlanta kind of set as if they're going to have all their pieces. They've had 3 straight games where they've gone under 100 points, and their team total is set at 114.5. I just don't think Cleveland's going to need to score 125 to win this game. So I'm cool taking the full game under 238.5. I think the line is moving in the right direction. Next game, we head over to Memphis, man. Memphis. We need Memphis in this spot. And I know the Grizzlies have, I guess you could say they've been hooping, but they ran into a buzzsaw in Madison Square Garden, and the Knicks probably hitting their stride right now, man. They just smoked the Denver Nuggets in a spot that probably was a Denver Nuggets spot coming off back-to-back games where they scored 123 points. Could have been a major letdown spot. The Grizzlies, the Knicks had revenge. Well, the Denver Nuggets had revenge in that spot. It didn't matter. They were coming off back-to-back losses. Didn't matter. Now they have 3 straight losses to the hands of the Knicks. But anyway, the Grizzlies just ran into that buzzsaw. Now they get a Rockets team that they have triple revenge to this season. You heard me right. The Memphis Grizzlies have lost 3 times to the Houston Rockets. The first one was actually during the first week of the season. That game was played, I think it was played in Memphis, I want to say as well. No, it was actually in Houston. I think it was in Houston. Houston beat them by 20 in the first game as 3.5-point favorites. So Houston was laying 3.5. Then they beat them twice earlier this month as well. Both of those games were actually 2-possession games, which is where this line kind of sits. But it's a stronger line towards the Memphis Grizzlies. And one of the reasons I think it is, and it could be a little bit of injury report manipulation, but Alfred Sengun is listed as questionable in this game. And if you watch the Rockets play, you know how much Alfred Sengun means to this team, to the point spread, to the offense. He dictates a lot of the offense. They run their offense through him, especially if Jalen Green doesn't have it going. He has been absolutely killing this Memphis Grizzlies team. So if he's not having it going, the Rockets could really potentially struggle here. And when you look into the advanced numbers, this does not set up well for the Memphis Grizzlies. They've been turning the ball over a lot. The Rockets force a lot of turnovers. The Grizzlies been playing with pace. The Rockets tend to get back in pace. The reason why I like the Memphis Grizzlies, outside of it being a triple revenge spot here, is that the Rockets are in a major fatigue spot as well. This Rockets team has been balling. 4 straight wins. They're 8-2 against the number in their last 10 games. They've covered 3 of their last 4. But it is a 3rd game in 4 nights, a 4th game in 6 nights, and the last game of a 4-game road trip. The Grizzlies, before running into the Knicks, were also covering spreads left and right, man. 7-3 straight up, and against the spread in their last 10 games. They had actually won 6 in a row before the Knicks beat them by 37. 7-2-1 to the over. Offense has absolutely been humming. And I do think this is a little bit of a fatigue spot for the Rockets, more so than it is for the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are in one of those rare occasions where it doesn't happen too often, but they're actually in a spot where they have more rest before the game and after the game than the Rockets. Because remember, the Rockets played last night. The Grizzlies were off. They haven't played since a couple nights when they played the Knicks. The Rockets also play again before the Grizzlies do. So the Grizzlies are in that rare spot. When you look into the SDL queries about that, those teams this season are 19-6 straight up. Average margin of victory is about 12 points. They also have a 55% cover rate as well. So it's a strong trend that backs the Memphis Grizzlies in this spot for this season. In 19-6 with a 4.5 point spread, I think that they can win the game by multiple possessions here. Just 2. I mentioned a little bit about Sengun going off the floor. Numbers aren't too massive, but like I said, if you watch the Rockets play, you know he dictates a lot of what they want to do. You just need the Memphis Grizzlies to rebound the basketball, because the Rockets play one way and one way only. They play super hard. They're going to be on the boards. A Sir Thompson's going to be all over the boards. Amin Thompson, will be all over the boards in this game. The Rockets will play hard. Dylan Brooks going back into Memphis again. But I think Memphis is the right side in this one with triple revenge in this spot. I forgot to mention this, but Sengun off the floor is about 4 fewer points per 100 possessions for the Rockets as well. I mentioned the situational spot for Houston, playing 4th game in 6 nights, also being the last game of a 4-game road trip. It returns about a 28% win rate, which in my opinion equals a fade of the Rockets here. Triple revenge for the Grizzlies. Sign me up, man. They should have a fully healthy roster. Also, Memphis, best team in the league coming off a loss this season. Even better than the Boston Celtics, who smoked the Chicago Bulls tonight. Memphis is 13-2 against the spread, coming off a loss. I will take them with triple revenge here. Listening to Coach, last thing I'll mention, listening to Coach Taylor Jenkins talk about this after practice today. Taylor Jenkins said, we understand that they've had our number, man. We got to be geared up. They actually got some time to practice. He said, get back to their identity. Hopefully they can cut down on the turnovers, which is what they struggle with, run it up. Hopefully Houston, because they're fatigued, their defense doesn't look as good. I need the Grizzlies, man. I played them -3.5. The line did move to 4. Now it's moving to 4.5. If Sengun doesn't play, it's probably going to get even bigger. So those are the plays that I like, man. Hopefully, like I always say, hopefully the show was helpful. I'm tired. I'm about to go get some rest, but hopefully the show was helpful. We'll be live again tomorrow. We'll go through We'll go through Minnesota and OKC. Minnesota and Utah. And then we'll also touch on any player props that I come up with overnight as well. And Orlando, Portland, line already moving from 4.5 to 5.5. Looks like money's coming in on Orlando, but we'll talk about that game tomorrow as well. Very, very interesting spot for Orlando coming off the double overtime game. So hopefully, like I said, the show was helpful, man. 3 plays that I've locked in already. Memphis -3.5. I do love Atlanta, Cleveland to go under. Couldn't talk anybody off an Atlanta team total under. I think the number is 114.5. And the Lakers and Washington to go under as well, man. 225.5. That team total for the Washington Wizards is 109.5. And I do think that continues to go under as well. So we'll see how it goes. I do appreciate you all for rocking with me, tapping in, listening to the ChrisBeCappinn Show. Always talk about the resources. They are here. They're also linked in the description of the video. If you're interested in checking anything out that I use to handicap the games, man, check out these links. We will be live as always for the new people, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the morning. Wake up. Let's cap these games and try to find some money, man. Best of luck on all your action for tomorrow. Catch you guys in the morning. I'm out.